some of the demystifying, menstrual cycles and all of those things. Because before now, growing up as a child, it seemed like a sacred thing. Like oh,
Exactly.
there's certain things that shouldn't be talked about. Don't mention it. Don't talk about it.
Exactly.
I remember growing up with my mom and our sisters. Those conversations never really, the things that people don't talk about. I remember the first time I heard the word period. I'm like, period in
What's
class.
that?
We had, for me, the first thing was, first period, second period in school. Then we have.
Can you imagine?
So I was like, how do women have period? What does that mean? Never really got to understand it until higher secondary school when it was
Exactly.
starting school and all of that. So a lot of people don't understand the basics and I understand that even girls themselves whose bodies get to change over time are not even aware of what's going to happen to them because of
Exactly.
this conversation, the strict conversations around menstrual hygiene and menstrual cycles. Let's talk about that now this morning. Tell me, um, tell me about the reason most people fear to have these conversations, even though it's a health
Concern.
conversation and a
Yes.
health concern. There's a lot of people who are coming down with different forms of infections because they do not take care of their menstrual hygiene. Why do we
Exactly.
shy away from these conversations in this part of the world?
Well, like I said, thank you for having me, and it's always a privilege to talk about this because of my own unique, story that's centered around this.
Yeah.
So, the Girl Child Day, the International Day of the Girl Child, is one day has come about because people need to be aware of the things that these children face, and then it's actually kind of touch around everything that has to do with the girl child. Reason because the girl child is unique and she has some things that are unique to her, like the menstruation. So growing up before now, I think it's changing though, but growing up, you don't have people talk about it. Parents don't even talk about it. Even when they do, they don't go into details about sex education, about before the flow, after the flow. Sometimes I never got to know anything until I started the flow. I had no prior knowledge.
And your parents thought you were pregnant because of your.
Okay, I'll go into that.
Tell me about
So
that.
at the age of 14, the flow started with drama. Of course, I had dysmenorrhea. That is another part of the whole health issue
Okay.
that we'll talk about if time permits. And after a month or two of the cycle coming on, it stopped, and I was happy. Ignorant. I was so happy because I was tired of the drama. But because it comes with drama and everyone around me in the house would know what's going on. When they were not seeing that drama again, mommy called. What's happening? How? I said, wow, I'm happy it stopped. That thing is stopped. She sat me down. I said, you're pregnant.
Meanwhile, she had never had a conversation about
No,
pregnancy with
we've
you.
never had anything. Mommy said I was pregnant. With my young mind, I was confused. At that moment, I'm like, okay, how do people get pregnant? What is once you start seeing your period, when it stops, that means you're pregnant. It went
Just
on and
reminds
on.
me of the story of Mary and Joseph and, and the
pregnant
Immaculate
by-
Conception.
Immaculate Conception. So it went on for 3 months. And the schools were about to resume to open, and we had to go to the hospital. And she took me there. The first time, the doctor wasn't on seat. We went straight to the lab. She told the lab, a scientist, I don't know if he's a scientist or just a quack, why she was there. And he took a sample, I think blood, I can't remember now. And he came back to tell her that I was pregnant.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
Wow.
I became more confused with my young mind. But he asked her to go out, that he wants to examine me some more. And when my mom went out, he asked me to lie down. I never knew the extent to which a lab scientist should go. And he was attempting to use his finger on me.
Some level of molestation.
Exactly.
Not knowing, because she was concerned of about her own daughter being pregnant and all of that.
To mention that we're all girls in the house. I happen to be the first, so I understand her fears growing up. I never understood then. So I'm not even blaming her. That is the level of her knowledge as a children down, and give the proper knowledge to sex education, to menstruation, everything that has to do with her puberty stage. Because it's a very important stage in her life. So you don't...
even till today, people still shy away from these conversations. People don't want to have, sex education conversations with their children.
Exactly.
I remember a few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a senior, with a colleague, and she told me that, her daughter was going to a boarding school at about 14 or 15, and she said, and I said, are you not worried that she's going to a boarding school at this time? And she says, no, I'm not at all, because I deliberately prevented her from going to the boarding school until she was this age.
Wow.
She's going to the boarding school in SS1, right? And she says, I am very confident that my daughter would not disappoint me, because I've given her I've told her everything that she needs to know about herself, about sex and everything. And so she was sending her daughter off with confidence, and she says, look, my daughter's going today, and even before she leaves, we're still going to have a conversation.
Exactly.
So there's that need to have these conversations. But let's talk about something you mentioned earlier, dysmenorrhea, which to me is foreign. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are just getting to hear that for the first time. What is that about?
Okay, dysmenorrhea is a pain that comes with period. There's primary dysmenorrhea, there's secondary dysmenorrhea. The primary one is the one that comes prior to the period, the flow, or during the flow. So you experience a level of pain, for some girl child, for someone like me, it was severe. Some have it very, very severe, some don't really have it that much. And it has to do with the level of some set of hormones that is being produced from the body of the woman's body as you attain a puberty stage. It's called prostaglandin. Prostaglandin is a set of hormone that is responsible for contraction. Yes. Okay. So when it becomes so much, your system produces it this very much, the contraction might be so much, and you experience dysmenorrhea during your period or before the period. That is normal, because painkillers can take care of it.
Not all the time, though.
Yes, but again, we don't even advise that you do those painkillers, especially when it's very severe, on your own. You consult your doctor, so you know the proper medication to take when you have these pains. But when it becomes after the flow, after the period, you're still having pains like you're about to have your period. That is what we call secondary dysmenorrhea. Okay. So you need to see your doctor for that. It can be said to be normal.
Okay.
During the flow, it's normal. And when you produce that set of hormone in excess, it may find its way to your bloodstream. You have headache, vomiting, and the pains, abdominal pains, and all that. But after the flow, it will stop. But when after the flow you still have this pains, then please see your doctor.
Interesting.
And I wanted to also address the period where your period starts and stops as a girl child who's just attaining puberty. Yes, it's called menarche. It's a Greek word, menarche. So not until I became an adult, I never knew. I believed, like I said, my story, we went back to the hospital to see the doctor, but I wasn't allowed to be part of my own destiny decision. I was asked to be outside. And so every decision that was made, everything, I was traumatized for a while. And it was like a fringe to my relationship with my mom. Why can't you just believe me? The society and the culture has a way of making you keep short, just keep quiet as a girl child. I mean, we need to speak up to issues that pertain our destiny, our life. You need to have a voice, even as a young child. So back to the story of menarche. the flow stopped after 2 months. Up to the 5th month, there was no flow.
No. So
And-
what happened with the doctor? First of all, I
was told to go out while she had a discussion with him, and I'm sure, in my adulthood, I could just put one or two together. Like, okay, the doctor must have said that he wants to run another test. Yes, funds were limited. We're in the suburbs and all
Yeah.
that. So she must have told him that she has a test that confirmed that I'm pregnant. That she doesn't want to run another test. And he should just do what he has to do. She has 4 girls, I know she was worried about many things.
Yeah.
But we're asked to come back again. The next thing I saw was taking me to a theater for whatsoever reason. I was traumatized for a long time. Afterward, the period never flew again for another 2 months. So menarche can last up to a year.
This is a period. Let's try to simplify this.
Okay.
The period where after puberty, the period just ceases to flow.
Example, you just started your flow last month. It came last month, it came this month, and then afterward it stops for some months because your body is trying to adjust to the new reality of you entering puberty stage as a girl child.
Okay, so
But
this
if it
is for parents and
Yes.
those who may not be aware. If this happens, do not be alarmed.
Exactly.
All right. Do not start to think that your kid may be pregnant. It's okay if you're concerned and you want to take
Thorough
the kid
investigation
to
is
a
fine.
hospital
Yes.
and do a proper check, and do not expose them to any form of abuse or molestation. Also allow them be a part of listen to them and
Caution.
have a conversation with them, and sometimes just maybe trust them sometimes.
Exactly. It's very important. But when it lingers for more than a year, then you see a doctor.
Okay.
It's not meant to linger for that much. And I must say at this junction that it's not for every girl child. Some don't experience this period of menarche. Some don't even experience it. But let's learn to have healthy conversations with our girl children. They will open up some more, even if there's something they're worried about. But you can imagine what that did to my mental health, what that did to my relationship with mother. Even when I had other important things to talk about with her, I never had that confidence, oh, let's not go in there.
Okay,
But
so
we thank-
let's talk about how we handle and cater to our girl children or girls in this period, in this time when
Okay.
when maybe during the period, because
Yeah.
you see people who say, I make my friend stand up from there, and when the maybe she's in pain and all of that, you expect her to do the things that she does, cater to herself and do all of those things. I've heard people say, look, I just want to be taken care of. I just want to be,
Yes.
I just want some attention and all of that. And all of the, talk to me about all of the, what goes on in your head, the psychological, imbalance or the hormonal imbalance that you have to deal with at that time.
a lot of hormones are in play at this point in time. So it calls for understanding from everyone around. Sometimes the first day is worse, or some days before the flu. Some girls, some women can just have some changes, in the way they relate with people based on the hormones, that play at that moment. So sometimes they are sick. Like, for example, I was told that I was always sick every month. Why is she always sick every month? Neighbors, why is she always sick every month? So these are the part of of the flow. It's just one part of the flow. So it calls for understanding. It calls for just understanding what she's going through at that part, and it calls for support in terms of helping her out, how she needs to take care of herself, the hygiene and everything she needs at that moment to just, it's just a passing phase, just for some days. So
Speak to me. You mentioned that you grew up in the suburbs, and speak to me about how difficult it is to manage menstrual hygiene.
All right.
You know, we're currently at a time where even the middle class are complaining and lamenting the cost of things. The inflation
Yes.
is biting hard. Cost. I imagine the cost of pad and what it would be right now. You know, this is something that most people are, use, and then some people don't even have the luxury. Have never really had the luxury of even using a sanitary pad before. Talk to me about that.
This is huge because growing up myself, I started with tissue, and it's really not healthy because tissues have a lot of chemicals. They are waste that is being chemicalized to bring out whatever we see and call tissue. It's not very healthy for menstrual hygiene and management. It's not. I've had people stay with us, young girls. The first time one of them would wash her piece of clothes and dry it, I'll enter the restroom. What's this? And I started introducing pad to her. Piece of clothes are still not hygienic, and it's not healthy as well. But these girls in rural areas that can't even afford a pad. For example, I buy a whole pack, a box. It costs about 45,000 naira.
45,000
the whole box
naira. How long does that last?
I actually would buy it from the beginning of the year so I can use it
For the
throughout.
entire year.
But of course I end up sharing.
But that's
and
because you
all
have
that.
48,000
Exactly, that's
or
where I'm going
45,000.
to. A typical partner is about 1,500, 2,000, 2,500. Depends on the quality. They have quality, different quality, different purposes, to fight infection and all that. So, but then what we have done in Girl Child 365 Development Foundation, we go to schools, we go to communities and educate them about menstruation, the hygiene, the management as a whole. And we're able to raise up some sanitary pads, but it's not sustainable because if you give a girl child one or two, it's just for 2 cycles or so, or even less than. And so it's not sustainable. And so we began to look out for partnership, and to God be the glory, we have a foreign US-based NGO actually who reach out to us to partner with us because there are other alternatives. That's where I'm going
Okay.
to. Alternatives to pad. We have tampons.
Okay.
They are also not cheap. Actually, there's nothing that is really cheap right now, like you rightly say.
Absolutely.
So we have tampons. We have menstrual cups,
Okay.
which people are not really so aware of. I have a sample here, right?
Okay.
So
Can I
menstrual
see that?
cups, yes. Some
Can I-
are made of plastic,
Okay.
but this one is from Kudu. So let me
Okay.
just mention, Kudu.
Okay.
It's a
So this is
it's
what
a
it looks like
US
for those of you
based
who are watching.
Yes, it's a US based NGO. This costs $10
Okay.
because it's made of medical grade silicone. So this is not plastic.
Okay.
So it's convenient, it's comfortable, and is medically safe.
Okay.
So, but what am I trying to say? There are alternatives to helping yourself when you flow. For example, like we already established that rags, piece of clothes, tissue,
They're not safe.
they're not safe. And then we have some of this pad. I have a cousin who cannot even use the sanitary pad. It brings about irritation. She has some, boils this out free of charge.
Okay.
Yes,
You're giving
from
this
Girl
out
Child 365.
to people free of
Yes,
charge.
yes,
When is
to the
this and
Girl
how is
Child.
this happening? What's this?
We're going to schools like 11th October next. We have a school to visit, go to communities because our target is even our partners could do COP.org. The target is the underserved girls can't really afford good that they are in bids, right? This
Yeah.
pass different qualities.
Can people reach out to you to, get this? How would she be able to get to our community? Would they ever, how do we get this? Because, look, with the way that things are expensive, I can
Yeah.
imagine a parent who has maybe 2 or 3 girls. Like you said, your parents had 4 girls.
Yes.
Be one of them. It might just be very, very Herculean and expensive for them at this time. So, can people reach you to get this and say, okay, we want to we want to get this, what do you call it now?
Menstrual cups,
cups.
which could
you know.
organization is sponsoring to be given
Free of charge.
Yes. Even though it costs $10 to make this.
We don't want to know how much it costs to make it. Just
it's a high quality.
The
That's
fact that
why
it's
I'm
going
really
out for free. Big shout out to you and your partners for what you're doing, and we hope that people are able to, accept this.
Because the knowledge is limited. And that's why we're creating this awareness, going to schools and communities, suburbs, and we can be reached. The thing is, it's been very, very successful in other African countries.
Okay.
Yes, they're in Kenya, Uganda, and a host of them. So, but it comes with every instruction. It comes with the how to preserve it, because it's reusable. Like I said, it's not a one-off thing.
Okay.
And we are also available. It's not just a one-off event. Okay. It's not just about the 11th day of October. We're available at all times to distribute this, to give this free of charge, and educate you on how to use it as well. It has every information. It comes
What
with
schools would you be going to?
Public schools mostly.
Okay.
And then community schools.
No, interesting. I hope that people are able to, key into. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would want to be able to get these menstrual cups. It would save you a lot. It would save people money.
I mean, for 10 years you can reuse it.
This can be used for 10 years?
Yes, it doesn't have any chemical, nothing. You can't even use soap on it or anything. You just rinse and reuse.
For 10 years?
Yes, you boil.
You don't
for
have
5
to.
minutes
You don't have to buy pad.
It's possible.
That's good, people.
It's
I think you should take advantage
it's
of this.
possible.
If you find it anywhere, maybe you should. I mean, it's been tested and it's been proven to be safe. It can serve as an alternative if you cannot afford the sanitary pads at this time. But if you can afford the sanitary pads, please, I mean, by all means. Well, this is about those who cannot afford it and who want to stay, stay safe and be, what do you call it now? Clean and hygienic around that time of the month. So please, this is a good thing that you're doing. I must commend you for it. It's quite a beautiful thing that you're concerned about the health and well-being of all the Nigerians, especially the girl child. I say big shout out to Girl Child 365 and the foundation, development foundation, for what you're doing. We'll come back with more on this conversation. We'll be opening up the phone lines so that people we can talk. For those of you who have had experiences, ladies, I want to hear from you. What was your experience growing up as a child? Did you get the right knowledge? As regards your menstrual flow and your menstrual cycle, did you get enough coaching or mentorship from your parents and support? When you started to experience, this change in your body, when you started to experience this, what was the reaction that you got from people? Have you been stigmatized as a lady because of your period? Any of those stories, please, would love to have those. Thank you so much for tuning in. The conversation continues. Keep it here.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
It's here. The 18th Abuja International Trade Fair commences from the 28th of September to the 9th of October 2023. The theme for the fair is Sustainable Financing and Taxation. The fair provides the platform to promote businesses, exhibitions, trade, and access to investment. Venue is the Abuja Trade and Convention Center, Kilometer 8, Umoru Musa Yar'Adua Expressway, Airport Road, Abuja. We are serious about your business. So, let's join hands to promote that business by your participation in the trade fair. Not they play. For further inquiries and participation, call 0813 633 5182 or 0703 317 1592. The Abuja International Trade Fair is organized by the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ACCI, sponsored by FCT Internal Revenue Service, Dangote PLC, and Zenith Bank.
Babe,
babe, don't worry. Order, okay.
Babe, the way you've been picking up the bills these days, taxi fares, at the boutique, landlord's annoying water bill, and now lunch? Babe, share the code now.
If I tell you, you're not going to believe me. Okay, I dey play Yanga Lotto.
Which one can't be younger again? And so Lotto can't easy now.
I told you, you won't believe me. See, with Yanga Lotto, you only get to pick from 0 to 9, meaning you have 500 times more chances of winning.
That's cash out on a coded level.
No louder now.
That's right. With Yanga Lotto, you can play from the privacy of your smartphone. Plus, you put in lower stake and get bigger wins. Hurry, download the Yanga Lotto app now and start winning. Yanga Lotto, it's your turn to do Yanga.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Thank you so much for living in your dials locked on your radio experience you can count on. And we've been having a conversation around the International Day of the Girl Child, which is coming up on the 11th of October. Wednesday next week is the date, but we're creating awareness and a special aspect of, the girl child, the life of the girl child, one of the challenging aspects of the life of a girl child in our world today, especially in this part of the world. And my guest has been Blessing, I love to call her name right, Blessing Ajabiowe. She is the team lead of Girl Child 365 Development Foundation. She's a girl child coach and a sociologist, joining us in the conversation this morning. Be a part of it. And like I said earlier, feel free to call us, especially ladies and fathers, girl dads. Please call in and share your experiences. Have you been able to, be a part of your daughter's life in this period? How were you able to support your girl child? Those of you who are single, there's some of us who are girl dads, and we, you know how the fathers and their daughters, very special relationship. But sometimes we believe this aspect of it, as much as we love you, daughter, your mom will take care of this.
Because
and
I don't know much about this.
So how much knowledge do you have as a father? How much support have you been able to even give to your wife? When she is, I'm sure you think she's older and she should be able to handle herself, but sometimes they need TLC as well in this period, right? So join the conversation and let's talk. 090-7353-0044-68888. That is 090-7353-0044 and 090-8766-8888. Blessing was able to share a story with us, quite an inspiring story. It makes me want to be more involved and more aware of what's going on in your daughter's life. Let's bring in this caller before we get back with my guest. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. What's your name, sir?
Thank you. My name is Mola, Senior President.
Good to have you. Let's hear you, please.
First and foremost, before I go into talking about girl child, we don't have a specific time that we talk about boy child in Nigeria. I don't know if that can be created as well. What is so special that only girl child will be talked about, that boy child should not be talked about? Having said that, I think a girl child we can't do without taking good care of them. We must have them in mind all the time. I'm a father. I have three children. Only one is girl among them, and we treat her like a queen at home.
Great.
So she's just privileged to be one among them, and there is no discrepancies that no other lady among us except her mom. So she has to be given true love and care that she deserves.
Absolutely. How old is she?
She's 13 now.
She's 13.
And there are some things I'm actually not exposed to about her when it comes to her secrecy. But there are things, most especially anything outward appearances on her, she relates it to me more than the mother.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So that is it. And I love her very well, and I always love her.
Are you getting set to be able to have conversations around, when puberty and when her body begins to change? How are you preparing yourself to handle such conversations? Or would you just sit that to her mom as well?
Actually, I don't go into that. The mother that always does that, because I feel somehow maybe going deep about her.
Okay.
You get my point.
But would you want to have those conversations, or you just don't want? You try to avoid it.
Pardon?
Would you want to have those conversations with her, or you just generally want to avoid it?
Of course, I would love to, but I don't do that.
Okay. That's
I don't do
understandable.
that.
That's understandable. Thank you very much. Appreciate you calling in. And that's a father there. Interesting. We're going to encourage more people to get a little more involved in, in such conversations.
Yes.
And for your first concern, May 16 is the Day of the Boy Child, is the International Day of the Boy Child. But I mean, that's not as it's not as loud as the Day of the Girl Child, and understandably so, because especially in this part of our world, it was perceived that the girl child is neglected, and there were several privileges that the boy child enjoys. So the goal was to also create awareness about giving such levels of support to the girl child as much, so that she's not underprivileged in the society and in families. Because before now, I mean, people would gladly send their boys to school and tell the girls to stay back at home. So it was really necessary for the world to pay more attention to the girl child, understandably. Now, what would you say to someone like a last caller who, as much as he loves his daughter so much, it's uncomfortable to have such conversations with them?
That's the cultural limitation we're talking about. How the culture has made us believe that you can't. When I was going through that crisis, my dad was never involved. He just believed mommy can handle everything. But was she handling it right? No. So two good heads, they say. What if he got involved in that period where I was told I was pregnant when I was not? What if he got involved and make one or two contributions? Can we just
think on the other side?
Yes, and bring his own advice and contribute to whatever the woman thinks. Two heads.
Just one simple, small, contrary opinion could change things.
Exactly. But I went through all of that. I became an adult before my dad knew what
transpired at that
exactly
time. Oh God.
Knew the gravity.
We have another caller here. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning,
Elder Noja. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, my beautiful sister there. See, we have made good mistakes about our female daughter, not to send them to school. Let me give you an example. I'm club 17 now. My female children, they say, don't get married. I've left you. If it disturb her too much, they say, palette, they disturb me. The wife will start a complaint. But any position where you have female daughter there, my brother, you are going to enjoy them until you die in this earth. And then if you die, what your female children are going to do in your burial, men children can never do it. The time they are going to spend with your dead body, your men children can't do it. They will sit down with your dead body until they carry you go and bury you the second day. They will cry to your grave. But men children, what is concern them? If we go to public sector and see, I from court to court, they follow the right thing, you can't bend them. And any office where you go, if the woman is heading that place, you have to be very careful. You can't bend down. Female children, they are the best in the world, And I pray that anybody will have many children.
I don't know that any child is the best in the world. Is the best, but I love that you understand and you're able to even call on other people to support their girl children. It's very important. I'm loving that. I loved the way that you put forward your concerns as a 70-year-old, who's been a parent for many years, understands what it is and how his daughters handle him.
Exactly.
That's coming from a personal experience. I know some other people may have a different experience and all, but it's good to hear that from a father who is also looking at it and say, we made a mistake. Some of us made mistakes in the past by not paying attention to our girls.
You know what this does is when your relationship,
absolutely,
and to you, so it can be a mother, it can be a father, but what we're saying here is that let's all be involved so that the girl child can have a conducive environment to grow up to become the woman that she's created to be.
Absolutely.
So it's
well
about
said.
relationship.
Well said.
Yes. So
well
my
said.
dad has that to say today. Just
Like-
what he said. My dad is over 72.
Oh, great. So talk the concerns around menstrual cycles, for teenage girls and even some adult, women who do not understand what the menstrual cycle is all about, the confusion around it, and all.
All right, menstrual cycle simply means the day you start the flow and the next time you see the flow. So the day you start your flow, your menstrual flow, is the day one of cycle.
Okay.
Some of us make the mistake of assuming that it follows suit with the, what's it called now? Normal
Calendar month.
months, that we use. No, it doesn't. Your cycle might be shorter than 31 days. We have 22 days, we have 25 days. Generally randomly accepted is 28 days. That's why we have May 28 as the day of the menstrual, hygiene and management day. But some of us make the mistake of thinking, if, for example, this is October, 1st October, I see my flow, and the flow comes again in 25th October, it means I'm seeing my period twice in a month. No. When another flow comes in 25th October, it means a new cycle.
Has just
started.
begun.
Yes.
Okay.
So it doesn't follow suit with the normal calendar month. It can be 22 days, shorter than 30 days, shorter than 31 days. So it varies from woman to woman, from one girl child to another girl child. So, but there's nothing like my period is twice a month.
It's
No.
not twice a month.
Yes.
All right, let's bring in this caller. Hello, good morning.
Thank you. Emmanuel, future president, calling back.
Quickly, please.
Let me quickly add to what the guest is saying. That is just what I keep emphasizing. The only area I don't so much relate with my daughter is that of their monthly or whatsoever. But I know some parents who are actively involved in that, knowing everything about their girl child. Are you with me?
Yes, we're with you. We can hear you loud and clear.
I know some parents, some fathers who know much about all she's saying now. But for me, I feel that side should be for the mother, basically because she may feel ashamed of me knowing about it also. Sometimes she feel ashamed maybe when she's dressing and maybe I eventually come to their room and whatever, she'll feel somehow. So as a man, I will always give that chance to my wife to handle. But
Okay.
on the other side of her life, like the way she lives her life, the way she relates with people, I should be actively involved. More or less asking her what and what not to do. You understand?
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Future President. Interesting. Again, I understand you. I absolutely understand. But again, how can we encourage people, especially men? I think it's how we fostered the relationship from from when they're very, very, very young.
Yes.
These things just don't start; they just don't happen. You should be deliberate about it. I wish you could have another. Okay, let me not wish for you. But if we get involved, early enough, that's shame or shyness would not be there.
Yes,
They
that's what
would be
we're trying to
confident
debunk.
enough to talk to you because you've set the ground, you set the ball rolling for them, you watered the ground for them early enough to be able to have such conversations with you. So and any final, what else any other thoughts you would want to share with us on this issue, so that we can wrap it up for today?
All right. Education is for all. It's not just for the mother. It's still the cultural limitation that we're talking about. Okay, this aspect should be for the mother. And it's only in this part of the world. Education is for all.
It's not only in this part of the world. There's
Mostly
there's
the
a lot.
African
Oh my
countries.
God. Men generally shy away from these issues.
Not in developed
because
countries.
first of all, you cannot totally relate to it because you can't you don't have experiences
don't
to
have
share,
experience.
you don't have any of those things, so
Sure.
it seems like you're dealing in a field that you know next to nothing about, you only read about, that's even
If my
if-
dad
if
had
you
even read
read.
about it,
Yeah.
I guess he would have made positive contribution
Absolutely,
to what
that's
I
true.
went
That's
through.
correct.
So education is for all. It's for all.
It is. All right, this will be a good place to leave the conversation this morning. It's a Friday morning and we're setting the tone for the weekend, and I'm sure that you're going to have a very fantastic weekend. The idea is for everyone to have a great weekend, but as you go into the weekend, ponder on these issues. If you're yet to be a parent, if you're a parent already, maybe you want to get a little more involved. And those of you who are boys, take care of the ladies. Take care of your sisters, your friends. Be supportive at this time when when it's that time of the month. Show them love. Be caring. And he was calling his sister names on account of having a menstrual cycle and all. So let's not do that. And this is a message here. It says, "Hello, good morning. My experience during my menstrual cycle. My parents never showed concern about it. I grew up to see my stepmom and dad. Thanks for this education." Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this. You didn't add your name, but it's okay. This is the thing. A lot of people have gone through this issue, gone through, puberty and, became adults with no one to guide them on issues like this. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you to the Girl Child 365 Development Foundation for what you're doing. And I hope that, as you go out to support Nigerians with the menstrual cup, that they're accepting of it, and you'd have a successful outing. Thank you